welcome Belinda and her panel today. And I will turn things over to Belinda. I'm sure you're going to introduce your panel, and hopefully we'll have a good discussion today. So welcome, Belinda and panelists.
Excellent. Well, thank you to all who are here today. And this panel is going to be presented by Presque CPCU chapter members, and thought we'd take a few minutes to introduce ourselves before jumping in to our program, which will include a background on insurance, some misconceptions in the insurance industry, and we'll have a lively discussion. There's an opportunity to put questions in the chat. Hopefully someone on our team will be monitoring that. And if I don't know if there's a raise your hand function on Zoom, but we can we'll try to leave some time at the end for questions. But we hope that this is you learn something about the Presque CPCU chapter and the insurance industry today. So with that, we'll give some brief introductions of the panel, and then we'll move into our presentation. And thank you so much for Professor Engdahl for having us, and for Penn West supporting this panel. We're really looking forward to presenting today. There you go. Thanks, Aaron. All right, Brian, do you want to give a brief introduction about yourself, and then we'll go down the line?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Hear you okay? Okay, good, because I was having some systems issues. Yeah, my name is Brian Ceroli. I'm president right now of the local Presque CPCU, the Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter designation. And to kind of put it into college terms, think of the CPCU designation as almost like the master's degree of college, or it's like an advanced degree. It's one of the highest designations you can get when you're in the insurance industry. But I'm president of the local chapter. I've been on the board for a long time, for at least for a couple more months until the new board members come into play. But so while this has a kind of a tilt toward Erie Insurance, we have panelists that used to work for Erie or and work for other companies. So it's not just an Erie Insurance thing. But I think you'll enjoy the panelists. I think there's two things that'll come out of play here. Number one, you'll find out that there's a lot of roles in insurance you can play. You could be in nursing and work in the workers' comp area. You can be a mechanic. You can have a lot of experience with body shops and work with auto repair and material damage appraisers. You could be an investigator. We have former police officers, retired police officers on staff. I mean, it's really, you'll learn that there's an abundance of jobs and functions with insurance more than just selling insurance. The other thing I think you'll find, and I won't steal anybody's thunder, but insurance really is the one true mechanism that we know of that, unlike any other, that can put you back into a home that's been devastated by possible water damage, by flood, or by fire. Replace your vehicle if it's been a total loss. Speaking just from a personal standpoint, last week we buried one of our nieces. She died young of cancer. Life insurance not only can help with the proceeds for the funeral, but I'm thinking of their student loans, the mortgage that they have, other credit card debt. There's no other function that we know of that can do those types of things. Now, it can't take away grief, and it can't take away the trauma and the traumatic experiences, but what it can do from a financial perspective is try to put you at ease and do things that that you don't necessarily have to worry about from a financial perspective. So we're glad to have you on board, and we'll let the panelists introduce themselves and talk about their aspects.
Erica?
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time to attend today. My name is Erica Jenkins, and I'm in-house counsel with Erie Insurance here in Erie, Pennsylvania. I've been in the insurance industry for about 21 years. Aging myself a little bit there, but I began my career in insurance, and I have stayed in insurance in one form or another. I started out in claims, then went over with a law degree, started out in claims, then went over to trial division, then went in-house for another company, and now currently work for Erie and have been for 9 years. So good to know that you're here today. I can't see you all, but good to know you're here today.
Excellent. Aaron?
Good afternoon. I'm Erin Segrist. I am the head of HR for an insurance company out of Delaware. We insure and reinsure all of the nuclear power plants in the US, France, and Belgium. And we have employees all over the world. I've spent my entire career in HR for a number of different companies. So I'm excited to kind of bring that perspective, because I think a lot of people say, why are you getting an insurance designation? You work in HR. So I don't want to steal my own thunder. I'm saving the answer for later, but I'm really glad to talk to you guys here.
Excellent. Joe? We'll let Joe take himself off mute. The mute button's on the bottom. And if you can't find,
There we go. Yeah, I was trying to unmute in the picture of me, the icon of me. Okay, so now you know I'm a technophobe, but my name's Joe Holm, and I've been working at Erie Insurance since like the Truman administration. I was a pricing actuary for many years, and now I'm working in enterprise risk management.
Thanks, Joe.
And I'm
Nicholas?
more used to Teams than to Zoom, I guess. Yeah.
You'll make the adjustment. Give it a few minutes. Nicholas?
Yes, my name is Nick Titus. I currently serve as an IT analyst at Erie Insurance, what we call talent optimization management. But prior to that, my career was somewhat eclectic in the insurance industry. So like Erica, I've had a number of different roles. I clerked for litigation examiners. I was what they call a customer advocate in the call center taking phone calls. Premium audit specialist, and even a quality analyst. So all in all, I have about a combined 12 years in insurance. Have just this year earned my CPCU, as well as from the Insurance Institute, something they call an APA, the Associate in Premium Audits, as well as general insurance and insurance services. And I'm hoping to add one more. I'm taking a test this month for Associate in Data Analytics.
Excellent. Thanks. Stephen?
Hi, I actually, you know what? I prefer Zoom. I've missed it, quite honestly. So, welcome everyone. Sapin Patel. I'm with Erie Insurance. I'm in the experience division here for the organization. Been in the industry, we'll be approaching 20 years. So really excited. Wouldn't have projected a better path. Hopefully I can share some of my experiences that I've had in the last 20 years. I like to think I've had some diverse pathways, and they've all been intriguing and interesting, and insurance, I feel, is the best industry out there, personally. So
I like the early plug for the industry. Thanks, Stephen. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Travis. I've actually been in the insurance industry my entire career. I'm right out of college, moving into claims and then leadership, and then shifting into IT to help support those applications that are needed in an insurance company. And right now I'm working for Guidewire Software, which is an insurance provider for PNC insurance. Their different platforms. And I too have had a very diverse career, done a lot of different things, leveraging my insurance knowledge, technology knowledge, business knowledge, and really excited to get to share that with you and hopefully answer some of your questions.
Thanks, Shannon. Well, I lost track of adding the collective years of experience in the industry that we have. As a lawyer, my math skills were not good enough to keep it going, but over, 150 years probably of insurance related experience on this call. And the reason these panelists were chosen was because most of us have held different roles in the insurance industry. So we wanted to be able to show how broad your career can be, even within one industry, specifically insurance. So hopefully that'll be reflected in today's conversation. My name is Belinda. Let's moderate this. Belinda Rogers. I'm an attorney work at Erie Insurance. I've been there for 11 years. I started my career as a litigator and then doing HR, supporting employment functions at Erie, and have been doing insurance functions, primarily because I got my CPCU designation. I was able to make a career change. So part of what we're going to discuss today is that designation that anyone can really pursue, even if they don't have a background in insurance, as you'll hear from some of the panelists. But Brian, do you think that we can start off by just giving, a really high level, I'm going to keep you to about 3-minute summary of what does an insurance company do? I know that's a lot to unpack in a short period of time, but I think you can do it. I'll give you the hook in 3 minutes, buddy.
Okay, yeah. So the insurance, it really is a mechanism. I mean, basically, I think about your car. Think about your home, your parents' home. You're basically paying premium to an insurance company, paying money, saying, in case of a covered loss, covered claim, something happens, unfortunately, to your car, your auto, your business, that they will come in and cover you according to the contract. It is a contract. It's a contract between yourself, applicant, your business, and the insurance company. And you each have duties to fulfill. You have to pay the premium. You have to fulfill the duties of the contract. And then the insurance company, as long as that, goes well, the insurance company has to fulfill those their duties, and that's to pay any kind of covered claims. And that's where, it gets into a situation where, and I think really where the rubber meets the road is really in the claims area. We have salespeople, agents, brokers that can sell insurance. We have underwriters who actually underwrite. They look at the application. So when you send an application in for your auto insurance, for example, they're underwriting it, meaning they're looking at your record, speeding tickets, violations, DUIs, all those types of things, the type of car, performance cars, all those types of things. And determining if you're a risk for the insurance company and if you're a higher risk or a lower risk. And then once you have a policy and we expect to pay claims, and we are in the business to pay claims. That's what I want to make sure people understand, that we are in the business to pay claims, covered claims. But that's really where the rubber meets the road, is where there's a claim situation. It's traumatic. It could even be a small accident, but it can be traumatic for an individual. And that's where the company really shines and really has to show their service and meet that obligation to the insured, to you. So and then in life insurance comes into that as well. I mentioned my niece, life insurance, health insurance, and they're all contracts, and we're basically pushing some of the risk to an insurance company. Some or all the risk, usually some risk, and the insurance company by contract has duties to perform. So, but within that, there are so many, you can think about it, there's so many functions that have to be performed behind the scenes in terms of information technology, accounting, finance. The premiums have to be invested if that's what you're interested in, investments. The claims function. Auditing is huge, both internal and external auditing functions. Compliance, which I'm in now. You think about the marketing of it. Now, I'm not talking about just sales, but the actual marketing, the promotions. Think about all the funny commercials that you see with Geico and Allstate with the mayhem and all them, Flow with Progressive. There are massive staffs of people creating and advertising agencies creating those advertisements. So within that contract and within that's the nitty gritty of it. But within all those there's so many functions that go on every single day to perform and to make that contract really valid. So how's that?
That's great. I was just about to give you the hook, so right ahead of schedule. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the CPCU designation at the end, but I think we should jump right into some of our misconceptions about the insurance industry, and then we'll circle around to the CPCU designation. Brian had been talking about the sale, how people think of insurance as being a sales industry. You picture the door-to-door salesperson. And so I think we wanted to kind of address that misconception right up front and Erica, do you want to jump in with some of your thoughts? I know we've talked about some of this offline. I'd love to have you share with the team, with the folks.
Right. So I personally never saw myself in insurance in any way, shape, or form. Like my vision of insurance as a child was pocket protectors. No offense to those who wear pocket protectors. Those who went around selling door to door. I didn't want anything to do with that. But sometimes in your life, as is the situation with my life, your career picks you. I actually graduated law school early, so I was just looking for something to do to earn some money while I studied for the bar. And I applied with the State Farm, which is a bigger company, and got hired as a claims rep. I was like, this will just be a stepping stone while I take the bar and, go on to bigger and better things, big law. And lo and behold, one thing led to another. And here I am 20 years later, still in this industry. And I think the misconception that I had, and I know a lot of people have, is like insurance is boring. It's nothing to it, but that is so far from the truth. Insurance is everything and it's everywhere. You think about everything from your car to your home, but you have businesses. Every business you walked in should have some kind of insurance policy, whether it be on the building that they are in, or they renting, or they own, whether it be on the products that they sell, whether it be on the workers that they employ. It's everywhere. You look at the World Trade Center, it's tragic, accidents from many, many years ago, but there was, I think, no less than 8 to 10 reinsurers on those two buildings that had to basically come together and come to the table and figure out how they were going to parcel out who's going to cover what. Insurance is everywhere. It's omnipresent. Airlines, train industries, specialty industries such as I think one of the individuals in our group said concert insurance, things of that nature. It is so prevalent. And so when you really, and health insurance and life insurance and professional liability insurance, when you really get into the heart and soul of insurance, it is so broad and vast. It will be a career that once you get into it, you will always have a job. You should never be without, because once you get into this world and you really see what it's about, the vastness of the jobs within the insurance industry, you would truly find that it's much more than just auto, home, and the greedy big bad insurance companies. No, it is everywhere. And of course, what do they say? You don't need insurance until when? You need insurance, right? So I think part of the misconception that I really had when I grew up, and from people who even were around me, was that it was boring. It wasn't a career. It wasn't somewhere you wanted to go because it was just so boring. But that is far, far from the truth. Now stop talking to somebody else. Get their position.
So just to follow up on what Erica said, I think that's that's a really good insight. And as the world changes, so does insurance. So there's really cool kind of niche insurance products being developed every day. She mentioned concert promoters. If the concert gets canceled, nuclear energy in the industry in which I work, space travel, conventional travel, really cutting edge product liability. And even with home and auto, which is kind of the bread and butter of the insurance industry, there's always interesting innovations like pay per mile auto coverage, which has emerged from a lot of people who either live in cities and don't need cars all the time, or and we're supported by a gig economy that didn't exist 10 years ago. So there will always be something new and different.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's a reflection as the world changes, our insurance needs change, and the insurance industry has to respond and anticipate those changes and have a workforce that can support all those changes. So I think that kind of goes to the next misconception, which is, hey, if I enter a career in insurance in customer service, let's say, like that's going to be where I end up. And I don't, if Aaron, do you want to jump in as an HR professional and lend some of your thoughts on that misconception that once you're in with a certain job, that's where you would stay?
Yeah, I think you've heard that from, I know Seppin said it. I think a couple other people said it as well. There's a big advantage of working in an insurance company, and even more so at a large insurance company, is the breadth of jobs available. So it's very common for someone to start in one department, like you heard a couple folks say, and move on to other departments as they move through their career. And the beauty of that is often it's that experience, the knowledge you gain is kind of multiplicative. So starting in customer service or underwriting support can be a great base of knowledge for moving on to training or claims or HR. And sometimes we think about that old career ladder. So, you know, it's one step up, one step up, one step up. That's gone. That's in the past. And now HR professionals, we talk about the career climbing walls. So you might have to make sideways moves. You might move backwards in order to move forwards. But it's being very flexible and leveraging that breadth of jobs to learn more, to basically be constantly learning. And that's something too that can be a career's worth. So I was at Erie Insurance for many years. We would regularly have people celebrate their 40th, 45th anniversaries. And those people would often say, this has been a really engaging career. You know, never did they say, well, on day one, I started doing this thing and I did it to day 4 million. They made a lot of changes and a lot of moves along the way. And I think that speaks well for the industry.
Great.
Erica, did you have any thoughts on what it's meant for you personally and in your development?
So starting out with as a claims examiner, and then moving over to trial division, I saw so many facets. I saw it from understanding the policy world, because I am in the PNC side, understanding the policy world, understanding the legal world, being a litigator, then coming over and really start dealing with the forms and the contracts and the policies themselves, and then dealing and growing my career to deal with the regulatory world, the compliance world, and even expanding into the life and health realm of insurance. Because I started out in PNC, somewhere I never want to be. And then, you know, as I came to my current company, you know, I expanded that knowledge into the life and the health world, because Erie sells various products in the life and health arena. And, you know, learning and part of that expansion, part of what I'm doing now, when I decided to take my CPCU, and brought my knowledge, like someone told me at my prior company, hey, are you going to ever take your CPCU? And I'm an attorney. My position was, why? I'm a lawyer. You know, I don't need it. But then when I started taking and I was incentivized to take it, I really realized that it allowed me to even grow even more, because it provided me a really in-depth look into, we were provided a really in-depth look into the financial aspects of the insurance companies, which I had not previously dealt into, because again, I'm a litigator, right? I'm your forms, I'm your compliance, I'm your regulatory. I keep you out of trouble and I keep you filed and legitimate in your states of business. Why did I need to know about the finance world? But learning about it through the CPCU really opened my eyes to a lot of the other aspects and nuances of our industry. Sorry, Belinda, I saw you made a comment.
Oh, no, that's great. Thank you, Erica. And I'm glad you mentioned the CPC. We'll jump around a little bit, panelists, from, you know, our flow to address that, because Professor Engdahl put the question in the chat and it's something we were going to address anyway. So I guess at a high level, one becomes a CPCU by taking a series of, I think, 7 or 8, 9. How many, Brian?
I think it's 8.
8 courses
Unless you're
that are
an accountant or lawyer.
graduate level courses, accounting, risk management, and different electives, a legal
Insurance law.
course. Yeah, insurance law. They're all related to insurance. So reading the balance sheet of an insurance company through a finance class. And then there's electives, whether it's personal, financial. I know this is a financial class, so like personal finance or life insurance. So there's a few electives. There's a professional ethics class. So you go through this series of coursework, and that's how you get the designation. But I think we can talk about the logistics to students if they're curious, but I think the question would be like, why would I want to do that? What's the value for my career, right? So I think Nicholas, do you want to take that one? We're jumping around a little, but all the folks on the panel have their CPC, which is why we're here. So we all offer slightly different professional development lens on that. So Nicholas, take it away.
Yeah, so I think personally speaking, and really in general, one of the things that you always want to do in life is put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And so, like Erica was saying, she was kind of pursuing one path, was working on the law degree, right? Wanted to pass the bar. Why would I need CPCU? And what it does is, there are electives, but there is this base load of core work that broadens. It's, like you would take in college, right? You take some generalized classes at the beginning. It helps broaden the perspective. You learn more about other areas of the industry, and then how, if you are in the industry, your work would affect somebody else maybe in another area. And it also helps you to see, wow, I didn't realize that, even for so many of us who are in the insurance industry. When you follow the trail, as it were, and see how one thing kind of affects another, would affect another, or even in some positions, how something that's done involves more work maybe on the other side of it than one would see. So just personally speaking, I pursued it because I wanted to broaden my knowledge, and I wasn't aware of all the areas that insurance delves into, as well as the opportunities available for me. Very, very happy that I pursued and was able to earn that.
That's great. Thank you, Nicholas. And I think Erica spoke, and you referred back to Erica speaking about how that helped her career. From my perspective as a lawyer at an insurance company who knew nothing about insurance, I was an employment lawyer dealing with HR. So I got my CPCU as a foundation for applying for an insurance related job. So I was able to pivot from a career that was sort of narrow to saying, hey, I now have a baseline of insurance information. I can jump into a different job that had more to do with the insurance area. And I'm not sure that I would have been, eligible for that job. I think as a student, most of you are, in undergrad. What does that mean for you getting involved like earlier on in your career? Because we have student members who can join the Presque CPCU without getting the designation. And I would say, and I would offer anyone, maybe Brian who wants to jump in, or other panelists, that one of the benefits of getting your CPCU or joining the CPCU organization as you advance in taking the courses is the professional network. So on this call, we have Shannon from Guidewire, who is part of our organization. We have different Erie folks from various areas of the organization. So if you're a student and you're interested in insurance, the networking component of meeting other professionals, whether that's to gain a mentor, whether it's just to learn how to network with people who are in a professional industry that you may have interest in, I think it's invaluable opportunity if that's the space that you want to go into, especially in this region where we have an employer like Erie Insurance, which is a large employer, and as you could tell, supports a variety of careers. So that's just sort of my 2 cents. Professor, do you want to jump in and ask if there's a more pointed question on that? We want to make sure we have a lot of other points to go through, but we'd love to make sure we're addressing what's most on your students' mind.
And I just want to say this because we've got a number of students that are attending this presentation that may be sitting for the CFP exam, Certified Financial Planner. And so if you think back to some of the textbooks that we've had in classes, there are multiple designations. So there are a number of CFPs that are also a CPCU, because part of personal financial planning is going to be the property and casualty insurance, the homeowners and the automobiles. So I just want to to all those attending, you don't have to just get one designation. And a lot of the, number of the panelists here, they have a CPCU, but they're also an attorney. So you're carving out your specialization in your particular profession. So I'm just sending a message to those who may be pursuing another designation, that you can get more than one designation, or you could get the CPCU and specialize in that type of insurance. So it is a very well-respected financial services designation.
Absolutely. And to your point, I'm actually studying for the CLU, which is Chartered Life Underwriter, which is the American College. And a part of that is I can also take that and take, I think, because they changed the requirements recently from 8 classes to 5 for the CLU. But I can take a full 8, I think, and maybe one, I think it's full 8, and I can get my CFP or my CFHP. There are several designations I can build off of for my CLU. So to your point, you're absolutely correct. Now, unfortunately, the CLU wouldn't take any of my CPCU courses, not even the basic insurance one. So I had to grumble about that. But you're absolutely right. It's a very respectful designation that has a huge family behind it. I also have my CIPP, which is, a little bit different, privacy professional, insurance privacy professional, but still, again, all the designations combined help make you a more a valuable member of any company, because number one, it shows you like to further education, you like to get certifications, but number two, it also shows that you take the time to want to become an expert about something. We're not an expert, at least well versed and well knowledge in something.
And I think if I can just, and I'll just be brief, to piggyback on what Erica is saying, is that, sometimes you can pursue one designation, and because you have that, sometimes that coursework can transfer in towards another one. The other thing is a lot of designations, there's continuing education that you have. And sometimes in order to fulfill your continuing education for one designation, you could pursue another designation. So I know if you have the CFP designation to fulfill continuing education, one thing that you could potentially do is to start nicking away at your CPCU or the CLU, which is a life insurance specialized designation. So just something to think about.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we asked our panelists to put their list of designations in the chat, it would be alphabet soup. And if you are also inclined, feel free to fill the chat with some of that. Shannon, I know that we had talked offline before we did this on some of the opportunities for students and designations. I don't know if that's where your brain was going with
That's exactly where my brain was going.
Why don't you take it away?
Sometimes the CPCU is a little daunting to start with. I mean, I didn't start there. I start with an AIC, an associate in claims, because I started off as a claims adjuster right out of college. And that started to give me some of that footing to understand what are my other options? How do I want to grow in my career? I know there's also just the INS designations, which is really just basic insurance that gives you some of those certifications that usually let you springboard into other things. And then you can build into that CPCU if that is where you ultimately are interested. But just know that sometimes that is a little daunting and to take on right away. And you can work your way into it, find your path to get you there. I know for me, like she was saying, alphabet soup. I started with my associate in claims. Then I moved into leadership, so I got an associate in management in AIM. Then before I got into management, I did an SCLA, which is a totally different institute for a senior claims law associate degree. And then, since then, a chartered insurance operations professional, and then worked into my CPCU. So, I mean, I've kind of been all over the place depending upon the jobs I was holding, what I wanted to learn, and leveraging some of what I've learned before to help me propel into completing these other certifications more holistically and faster. But it's all about what did I learn to be able to apply to my job, for sure.
I think that's great. And it speaks to the fact that I think in corporate America, we're all, in the insurance or related sort of technology industries. But like I just put that, learning is a lifelong pursuit. I think as students, you're so deep into focused learning that when you get into the business world, you might think, well, that's over. But I think if you take anything from this situation, this group, it's that keeps on going, and it provides other opportunities for you in the real world. It's not always some abstract exercise. I'm looking at the chat right now. Okay, well, hopefully, Professor, that kind of went down the path that you were hoping. I think you made some great points about the interrelatedness of a lot of these designations, and that it's not all siloed. And not only, sometimes you have to you have experience in an area that's strong, and so you're looking to bolster that. Sometimes you're looking to get into a new area. So you use the certificate or the designation as an opportunity to say, look, I might have this related experience, but look, I've shown that I'm disciplined, can follow through, and now have the subject matter knowledge. So
I'll say, Rhonda, to Rhonda's question was answered in the chat, but Rhonda, no, you do not have to have a particular level of education. Now, I will say, for example, for the CPCU, Belinda and I were both able to waive out of the law part. We didn't have to take that exam because we're lawyers. So, that wasn't necessary. I believe for an actuary who has completed, don't quote me on this, there's an actuary online so you can answer, but I do believe actuaries can waive out of, and accountants can waive out of the certain ones, the math or the, what is it called? It's the financial exam, which was my complete and utter nemesis. I passed it, probably one of my highest scoring things, but it was not fun. Time value of money, future value, all that was just not my bailiwick. I was not happy to learn about it, but it actually, it's funny because after I completed that exam, like a week later, I had a meeting with a client and here at Erie, and we talked about that because we were talking about money and some financial issues that have to do with a matter that we were dealing with internally. So I was like, I know what you're talking about. So it actually came in really handy.
That's great. Yeah, there's practical circumstances. I know we're jumping around a little bit. Sepin, I would love to hear from you. Like, these folks maybe have a focus on financial planning. I know you have some background in that space. I thought maybe you could just talk about sort of that larger calling of insurance, because I think young folks, students like to understand why it's a good career. Can you speak a little bit about why insurance is more than something that's just legally required?
Yeah, definitely. So I go back to why, I feel insurance is one of the coolest industries. It's not a traditional product when you really think about it. The construct of insurance is based on a pool of people essentially investing in security, right? So it's a social mechanism for us to protect ourselves from severe events on our assets or our lifestyles, along with frequency as well. And if we all participate, the insurance company is able to indemnify for those claims that could exist for any particular customer. So that's why I think I know why I'm so passionate about insurance, because it is essentially a community-based investment that you're making. Your fellow policyholders are making it available for your purchase at a very, very economical manner for things that could really impact you financially going forward. So that was my attractiveness. I wanted to go back to the CPCU content though. It was great dialogue and great input from the panel. So ultimately, I think people don't realize how diverse the entire value chain of an insurance industry is, all the way from distribution to claims payoffs. There's a lot of stuff that happens in between that becomes a proposition for a customer. And that's why I think it's a very interesting industry to be in. And what the CPCU does is tries to break that out into components at the highest level, where you can see all these levers that work in conjunction to make the industry or the insurance carrier work in its optimal way. So it's a good way to build diverse knowledge around insurance in general, and really feel out spaces within the insurance industry where you might want to hone in on from a career perspective. Second, it is looked as a favorable accomplishment as you start looking for organizations that you want to, work for ultimately. And you don't have to complete it all at once. You can go sequence by sequence, and you can actually sequence the topics per your needs as well. So it's not this singular linear trajectory for a CPCU. There's a lot of adaptation depending on how fast you want to go, what particular topic within the insurance industry you want to get deeper into, that you can adjust for yourself as you go through the entire journey. So
That's really helpful insight, Sepin. It said I'm muted, but I don't think I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but I have a
Excellent.
real quick response.
Okay, go for it.
Ron asked, are there scholarships or internships available through the PCIC? And I want to have someone answer that question. I know there's scholarships, but I'll let you all answer that question.
Yeah, so we definitely, I don't know, Brian, did you want to jump in there? Go for it.
Sure. Our local chapter has for many years offered at least 2 scholarships each year. Last couple years, we've been able to offer 3, and they're $1,000 each. So, and it's not just for Erie people. I mean, we've had them from students who've been in Dayton and other parts of other states. So usually we send things out to the schools. We have contacts at the schools. We usually start that in the summer. Usually June. We've been starting it earlier in June and July, and we send reminders, a few reminders, and we're at this point now where typically you write an essay. We'll give you the material for the essay, and we look at transcripts. and those types of things. And then we come down to a final selection, like you said, of 2 or 3. We're looking to even expand it a little bit more, go a little different different avenues next year, but we will certainly continue offering scholarships. Yes.
Well, and we can also make sure that we send that information to Rhonda to circulate to the appropriate folks within Penn West. It's a great question. The Presque CPCU doesn't specifically have interns like for the program itself, for the chapter, but we do have a bunch of organizations that have representation in the Presque CPCU chapter that do offer internships. So I would say we have Guidewire on the line, and we have a few other businesses. So you can look up their websites. So I guess the next part kind of will feed into Professor Engdahl's question, which is about cool insurance careers. And I wanted to throw this over to Joe. Joe, you might be like just a number on my screen because I can't see your face, but I don't know if you're there. You are. If you wanted Joe offline shared a kind of cool experience regarding jobs. So let's start off with sort of the background. That would be great. And then we can ask questions.
Yeah, so I was working as a pricing actuary here, and my son was finishing up his sophomore year of college when one of our planned interns, I think this would have probably been like toward the end of May, one of our interns was not going to be able to participate in the internship summer because of a personal emergency in their family. So my department manager said, well, Homan, you've got a son who's supposed to be pretty smart. What's he doing this summer? And I said, well, he doesn't have any insurance background. And my boss said, well, I don't care. I'd like to interview him for an internship. So long story short, he did get the internship, and he enjoyed it so much that at the end of the summer, they said, Peter, you did a really great job. We know you're studying to be an astronomer, that was what he was going to be. But if you'll just take one of the actuarial exams, we'll hire you again next summer after your junior year for another internship, and it'll be good money. And anyway, by the end of his junior year and the end of that internship, he had pretty much changed his mind about becoming an astronomer, which I think broke the hearts of a bunch of his math and physics professors when he got back to school. But he finished his senior year, and then he came to work as an actuary because he thought that the kind of research, the projects that he was working on in insurance, he appreciated the fact that they were so tangible. They were more hands-on, and he could see how the work that he was doing was going to affect other people, customers and policyholders and other parts of the company. So he actually made a kind of a career change there because he just thought the analysis that he was doing in insurance was so interesting.
I mean, you wouldn't think that the insurance industry can compete with astronomy, but apparently I thought that was just a great representation. And I know actuarial positions are not for everyone, but Nicholas, like, I know you had an impassioned sort of information about all the different jobs in an insurance company. So if you want to share some of those with the students, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you study economics at all, right, they have the sunk cost logical fallacy. So maybe you've been taking courses, for X for a while, or you have an interest as a hobby in Y, and you've been kind of doing a lot of work in that regard. Or, many of us, we've talked about how we started our careers with a background in something else. And I guess I want to say, especially to the idea of, do you have anything that doesn't involve being behind a desk? Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. So although we kind of talked about maybe getting away from sales, we have positions we call district sales managers, right? Where you throughout a district travel very frequently, speaking and supporting agents. We need people who, we talked earlier also about material damage adjusters, but if you have a background and you are good with cars, right, we need to be able to look at those. You know, we might get a quote from someone and we need to say, hey, does that make sense? You were in a fender bender. Why are they saying your radiator's cracked? You really just need a new quarter panel. Well, this estimate doesn't make sense. Or can you look at drone footage and say, boy, this was a terrible storm that came through here, and our estimate isn't going to be right because they used composite material instead of wood on the deck. Can you look at the deck and see, did they use deck screws? Does it look like it was professionally installed, or do you think it was self-installed? We need people who know about that. Are you studying nursing? We need people from bodily injury validation and things like that. So honestly, wherever your background is or whatever you've been studying, there's a need in insurance for that.
I
Yeah.
think
I'll
that,
answer
oh,
that.
Eric, hold on one second. We're getting like kind of close on time. So, I guess I wanted, Sepin has sort of headed up some innovation and can talk a little bit about innovation. Then Erica, can you offer your final comments and then we can wrap up? Does that work? I think we have just a few minutes there. Okay, just want to go from there.
I want to quickly hit on Michael's question though on how finance students can translate into insurance, if that's okay, Belinda. Yeah.
Please, yeah, the question, that's great.
In massive ways. So although I'm not a finance academic, my academics were in actuarial sciences, but the skill is fairly similar. And those skills translate really well in the insurance industry. So you got positions like not only investment, you can go into actuarial sciences as well as a finance major, underwriting, you name it. There are financial departments within the insurance institution that are very critical to the mechanism itself and the organization. So the curriculum you're in right now can bleed into the insurance industry very, very, very easily. And you'll have an amplitude of career trajectories open to you, depending on how you want to leverage your skills and develop as a professional. So, Michael, does that help?
It does, thank you. And Belinda, we only have like 2 minutes left till we get to 2:50.
Yep.
So I know time goes quickly. And I know we're gonna have students dropping off here soon because they got to get to my class, so.
I really appreciate it. Erica, did you have a last comment or?
Yeah, I was just gonna second what Sepin said, that, you know, you have interns, and our county department has summer interns. We have people who work in those departments during our summer programs. Additionally, for the jobs with no desk, we have things like legislative liaisons, we have government relations. Those are all field jobs that don't require you to sit behind a desk. Yes, there will be some sitting behind a desk, but those are people person and jobs where people have to have people-person skills. You have to have interpersonal skills. You have to be able to talk to legislators, you know, expound the position of the insurance company. So we do have jobs like that. People just don't realize it's vast. Once you get in the doors, it's a vast field within insurance.
Absolutely. So you can always look at our websites from the various companies represented here and check out those opportunities. But I want to thank all the panelists for their time preparing for this. If you have any other questions and want to email, you know, the professor or one of us, we can get you that information or any other information about the Presque CPCU chapter. If you're interested in joining as a student, you can email Brian Zaroli, brian.zaroli@erieinsurance.com to see how you can get involved. And so thank you all so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.